we can use trigonometry to find the height of an object we can't measure directly, in this case, a kite. So in this situation, we're given a couple pieces of information. We know how long the kite string is, 200 feet, and we know the angle of elevation, which is the angle on the ground rotating upwards, to be 58 degrees. So let's start this problem by, I would suggest drawing a picture. So you can be real basic and just draw a right triangle if you want to, or if you want to be a little more fun, you can go ahead and draw, the actual guy flying the kite. Even though you may not want to draw the exact picture, sometimes it's actually easier to do that because it helps you figure out where certain information is going to go. So there's the guy drawing flying the kite, although there's kind of what the right triangle would look like. So let's go ahead and add some information to this diagram. I know my right angle is right down there. They tell me the kite string is 200 feet. So since I actually have the picture, if I'm not sure where that 200 goes, I can just ask myself, well, where's the kite string? It's right there. So that's 200 feet. The angle of elevation, which is always the angle between the ground and whatever that angle, that hypotenuse is going to be 58 degrees. So that angle of elevation is always on the ground. Okay? And the question is, find the height of the kite, which is right there. Now, I'm not going to use h because h sometimes makes me think hypotenuse, so I'm just going to use x for that side right there. Okay, so let's figure out which of our three trig ratios we'll need to use to answer this question. Since my angle I'm looking at is over here, I know that this side x, the height, is the opposite side. And I know that my kite string is the hypotenuse. That bottom side is the adjacent, but I don't care. It's blank and I don't want to use it. So I need to think back to SOHCAHTOA and take a look and figure out which part of SOHCAHTOA uses the opposite side and uses the hypotenuse. Well, looking at all three parts, I can see that sine will be the one that I want to use because I have opposite and hypotenuse. So that'll tell me what equation to write. I'm going to write sine, and then always of the angle, so 58, is equal to the opposite side, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 200. So there's the equation I want to solve. I showed you some ways in the last video to use proportions, and you can do that again if you want to. Otherwise, here's a cool trick for solving one like this. Since x is being divided by 200, to undo that, I'm just going to multiply both sides by 200. And so what I can actually just type in my calculator is I could just type this all in at once. 200 times the sine of 58. Once I do that, if I round to the nearest whole foot, I find out that that kite is approximately 170 feet in the air. And I guess that it's a little bit higher than that since the kite wasn't technically right on the ground since we're standing down here. We could add that on if we want to, but in this case we'll say close enough. The kite's 170 feet in the air.